Good afternoon. Welcome to the first ever virtual talk show sponsored by the HSC and led by the SOCSI department. We are grateful that our social sciences team has come up with a particular event like this one. We are happy that today they are giving honor and empowerment to women like me. All right. So why do we have this particular Women's Month? Right. March of every year is declared as National Women's Month, and anchored on this year's theme is We Make Change Work for Women. The celebration aims to highlight the empowerment of women as active contributors to and claim holders of development. So today, we will be hearing from our faculty members and distinguished guests how women have done a lot of important roles in our society, in our country, and even the world. So without further ado, I'd like to turn you over now to the social sciences team and lead us now to this very important discussion. Thank you very much.
So good day, I'm Amaraus. Good day to our dear guest speakers and to my colleagues who are here with us this afternoon. So thank you so much for taking your time to be able to participate in our talk this afternoon. This virtual talk show is brought to you by the HSC department in line with the Women's Month. So for all the women out there like me, I'd like to tell you that I'm very proud of you. So likewise, this event is also in line with one of the HSC courses, Gender and Society. So to those students out there who's taking GED 0085 this term, you're gonna learn a lot from this talk show. So our theme for today is items, one with Juana against COVID-19. We're gonna ask our guest speakers such relevant questions. So our guest speakers are Brother Clifford Sorita, Miss Christine Silva, and Sir Shane Verde. By the way, our official hashtag is hashtag items one with Juana. So to start, we're now going to ask question, and this question is addressed to Miss Christine Silva. So our question is, Ma'am Silva, as a mother, how did COVID-19 challenge your motherhood?
Thank you, Miss Pao. Good afternoon, everyone. And of course, welcome to this activity. Well, COVID-19. Truth is, I find it really challenging for us women, especially mothers like me, to respond conscientiously, sensitively, and with perfect awareness about what the family needs really in this time of pandemic. Being the ones taking up the key role in safeguarding the house against COVID 19, the challenge is really high. First of all, loss of finances. Most of us have some members in the family who lost jobs. My husband is no exemption. So we have to adjust budgeting and lower the cost of living. The utilities are in control. We can conserve a lot by seeing to it that we are not wasting anything. Well, electricity wise, what we do is number one, we schedule our online activities and gadget use since everyone's working, of course, at home and classes are also conducted online. Well, number two, I think if it is not that humid, we'd rather use the fan instead of the air condition. There's something that I bought in terms of the light that's needed, of course, during online activities. I think I bought something that we can just insert, on the laptop, something like that. It's a light that's actually focused in the laptop instead of using the bulbs. I mean, those are just all about the utilities. With water, of course. At least water is cheap, but still we have to conserve that. Wi-Fi are just okay because what we know is that it's flat rate. No, it's, I mean, my provider is PLDT, so it's flat rate, of course. So you can always use it at any time. Second, aside from utilities being in control by conserving, we can create sensible activities at home, replacing boredom in general. Kids are mostly victims of boredom. You know that. So I think as a mother, the challenge is that I have to create really schedules that would make us clean together, cook together. We got to do like works together, productive learning, and TV time and Netflix together. So that's the second one. No? And of course, you can think of more activities that you can do in the house, of course, in this time of pandemic, because everything is, as much as possible confined in the house all the time. The third challenge would be health protocols. Maintaining everyone's hygiene and health is the rule of thumb now. I mean, vitamins, less going out, etc. Some measures I myself have personally taken, I even posted it to help other moms too. And this time I used the Facebook for that. So, those things really very challenging time is Miss Pao. So that's all I can share so far for your first question.
All right, so thank you so much for that, Ma'am Chris. So you have mentioned to us that one of the challenges that you have experienced as a mother is, of course, I can relate to that actually
Yeah.
in terms of budgeting. I can
Ooh.
relate to that because yeah, during this time of pandemic, I mean, it's not just the mothers out there, but everyone is really affected. We really have to budget because, a lot of people, madami nawalan ng trabaho, and of course, we're stuck here at home, and all of us also are experiencing boredom. So that is why, I also believe in what you're saying, that we really have to find some activities that will make us productive even at home. But of course, as a mom, saludo ako sa iyo, Ma'am Chris, because I know that you're doing a lot of things as a mom. No? Ikaw talaga yung parang
Yeah.
namamahala dyan sa bahay, no? Yung
No
mga
choice.
gawaing bahay and everything. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Ma'am Chris. So the
Thank
next
you.
question is for Sir Shane Verde. So good afternoon, Sir Shane. So this question is for you. As a father, how did you assist your wife during the pandemic?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Miss Pau. As a father and a husband, likewise, I made sure that I am the one who does the errands. Usually, when there is a need for us to go out, I'll make sure that I'll do it myself. I told my wife that if possible, everybody will stay home for health and safety reasons. And should there be a need for us to go out, we always try to protect ourselves by wearing face masks and face shields. Since most of our time is spent home, I help my wife to do the laundry, uh, cooking, and I also the one taking care of the bills. Likewise, we do 5S. No? For those who do not know or familiar with the 5S, these are actually steps, no? Which involve going through everything in space, deciding what's necessary and what is not, putting things in order, like cleaning and setting up procedures for performing the tasks on a regular basis. So 5S again stands for sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. So these are the basic things that we're doing together as husband and wife. Thank you, Ms. Pao.
All right. So thank you, Sir Shane, for that answer. So I think yung sinagot po ni Sir Shane, it's very important, especially that, again, no, the emphasis is on COVID-19, and it's very important that we maintain the cleanliness of our home. And Sir Shane said that as a husband, no, he's also taking care of his wife, no, by, helping to do the errands and household chores, which is very important. It's a big help for women, no, lalo na kung in a household, no, of course we can also ask for the help of the children. However, they also do online schooling, so I guess no, the parents actually sila yung mas in charge dun sa bahay. So thank you so much for that, Sir Shane. So the next question is for brother Clifford Sorita. Hi, brother. So the first question is, in a patriarchal society, why are mothers or women capable in leading the fight against COVID-19?
First, to extend my greetings to Professor Datuon and the rest of the FEU community for uh, generously inviting me to be able to share some of my insights for your Women's Month celebration and for the celebration of this month of Women's Month, and of course for the discussion in your classes for gender and development. So thank you very much for your kind and generous invitation. As to your first question, I believe that we don't need to look far, no, for case studies on this regard, because if you look at some of the recent developments in the fight against COVID-19, you will find out that if you look at the different countries with the best COVID-19 response, you will find out that the best countries, the top three, no, best countries with the best COVID-19 response were the countries of Taiwan, the country of New Zealand, and the country of Germany. And if you see the profile of the leaders of those countries, you will find out that at the top of that COVID response are women leaders. And if you further examine the data, just look at the data, and you will find out that though of course, we're not saying that women are better than men in terms of crisis management. But if you look at the current data, it seems to be that there are more women leaders that are effective in crisis management when it comes to COVID-19. So if you look at that basic macro level analysis and look at it from a smaller point of view, you will see that women are seemingly capable of handling the situation because of a very precious experience they have, and this is what we call micromanagement. If you look at the overall experience of women, especially for families, you will find out that mothers are very good in the micromanagement of the family. When you say micromanagement of the family, you will find out that mothers have this particular psyche whereby they look at particular details in family life, family management. So in other words, if you look at women, you will find out that their capacity to deal with the crisis stems from their capacity to look at details. The detail orientedness of mothers, especially in micromanaging the family, is where the leaders, on the macro level have also done in managing countries, in looking at details of how we respond to the crisis, is how effectively they can deal with this crisis. And second, of course, why mothers are very much good in handling the situation is because the current situation demands that the family go into lockdown, the family go into quarantine. And so, because of this, you will see that mothers have this capacity to be able to look at the general temperament of all the members of the family and to be able to serve as that catalyst to be able to help the family cope or to deal with the situation. In other words, ang mga nanay, hindi yan ipapacify ng situation. Because if you look at the fathers na, that are, sometimes the term being used by many sociologists, hyper-masculinity, is a term that has been developed. That sometimes, when fathers look at the situation, they look at the big picture. And sometimes when you look at the big picture and you look at all of these things, sometimes you miss out on the smaller details that are very important in dealing with such crises, especially a crisis whereby details is very important in terms of how to handle the situation. So, on those two fronts, mothers have been very much effective in handling this COVID-19 situation. One, in the micromanagement of the family, and second, in dealing with the emotional stress that comes with the crisis because being locked down inside the house, in the space, being unable to do the normal things you do outside. So you begin to realize that you need the mother to create that sense of psychological balance in terms of all of the stressors that we are experiencing now in the family. So mothers have been there in the forefront of being able to combat the COVID-19 situation.
Okay. I don't really want to be political about it, but thanks for pointing that out. So I can see that you have emphasized the best countries that were able to have a good COVID-19 response. So I also like how you pointed out that women are keen to details, and in terms of emotion regulation, in terms of managing our stress, women are also good at that. So thank you for that insight. So the second question, brother, is in your own opinion, how women can be empowered in fighting COVID-19?
Always of many countries is that you have to make sure that women are not only playing a token role in dealing with the situation. When you say token role, hindi lang siya, for example, for example, this has been the formula even in Iceland. If you look at in Iceland, in countries where there is such strong gender empowerment, you will find out that the formula always is that women should not just be 50% of the decision making process. That women can either be around 70% of the decision making process or vice versa. But the thing is, we have to appreciate the fact that when we do decision making process, women should not only be tokens. Being, you say token, para lang masabing yung babae dyan, yung babae nandyan sa, for example, sa isang korporasyon o sa isang setup, to say that women are really being empowered does not mean that there's only token of women. For example, there's a board of, for example, 10, and then you put there two women. What there's no power in that. There is no empowerment in that because ano na lang sila minority. When you say women empowerment, you have to give them that certain voice that they can dictate also certain policy frameworks. So in other words, we should always be in that mindset, no, in terms of empowering women. To give women a vital role means giving them a chance to be able to make important decision making and to be able to make influence in that policy making structure. That's the reason why now, if you look at many corporations and many government setups where there is women that are empowered, meaning women can sway votes, women can sway policy decision makings, that is really empowering women. But if you only make women para bang ng token lang, may masabi lang na may babae dun sa grupo para lang masabi na, na hindi tayo all men's club, that is not empowering women. And also, we also have to be very, very critical about this experience also, no, with COVID-19 because if you look at the data now presented by ILO, the International Labour Organization, you will find out that COVID-19 has also affected mostly women because if you look at the data ng mga trabahong naapektuhan, the jobs that are mostly affected by our lockdowns and our quarantine procedures are jobs uh, predominantly being occupied by women. So that is the reason why we have to also regain back that sense of empowerment by making sure that during this crisis we address the needs for women in terms of jobs, in terms of giving them again back the jobs that were lost during this COVID-19 situation. Because the informal sector are mostly women. Women are mostly the workers in that sector. And ang tinamada na ngayon, tourism and informal sectors have been heavily hit. And therefore, more women have lost their jobs. So again, in this crisis, we should again go back to the roots and try to empower them by giving back their jobs. And finally, siguro, one good thing also in terms of our society is that what we've learned now is that when women are given the chance to be able to, to be effective movers in the family, we should also try to address that concern in terms of giving women the capacity also, no, to be able to make sound decisions for the family, especially when the father, no, sometimes because he is the head of the family, and he is the one putting food in the family, that yung decision niya palagi nasusunod. Kasi ganun ang palaging mindset, di ba? That if you read the theories of Michel Foucault, no, in terms of all of these things, but if you look at the paradigms where women are empowered in giving them also a voice in the family, where not that the decision making process can also involve the mother in the decision making process, then it also helps empower the women also in the family.
Thank you for that insight. So I would agree that the women, as a woman, I do believe that we have to be given voices, freedom to speak, especially that a lot of issues right now concerns women. For instance, about the reproductive health, and in terms of discrimination, I do believe that it's still relevant as of now. If you're a woman, then there are certain kinds of discrimination in job employment, in in certain preferences, in choices that we make. We are criticized, and for that, I believe in what you're saying, brother, that we can be empowered by giving back the jobs of those who lost it during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I also think that we should be given the capacity to make important decisions. Thank you so much. All right. So now our question is for Sir Shane Verde. So Sir Shane, are there any instances that you consult with your wife in making decisions?
Yes, of course, Miss Pao. In major decisions particularly, because it has been our practice to discuss and decide on matters which of major concerns. For me, gone are the days of patriarchal or matriarchal, because we are practicing egalitarian kind of family, where my wife and I are consulting each other before making decisions, especially the major one. We do this, of course, to avoid arguments and for love and respect for each other. But for matters of not so much of our concerns, we decide it ourselves without consulting the other. That's all.
All right. Can I do a follow up on that, Sir Shay? Because I was so interested about what you're talking about, the major decisions. So can you
Yes.
specify with us, ano po ba itong mga major decisions that you talk with your wife? And what are the, individual matters that you both consider?
Major decisions such as, for example, investments, acquiring properties. So those are major decisions that has to be done by both husband and wife. But for matters for particularly on things which are not really so much of our concerns, those are petty. So there is no need for us to inform the other party. Okay, so I guess later on when you have also a bigger family, I guess you will be able to realize and relate what I'm trying to say.
All right. So thank you so much, Sergey. So I see that as husband and wife, I think individuality of each one of you is still important. No, kahit na mag-asawa na, we still have individual choices that maybe we can decide on our own. And like what Sir Shane mentioned, these might be some petty things, no, na pwede natin ipag-decide sa sarili natin. So, for example, in my case, no, siguro naman yung mga pagpapamper about ourselves, no, as women, which is very much important. Siguro naman hindi na natin kailangan pa yan ipaalam sa ating mga asawa or sa ating mga partner, especially if it involves taking care of oneself. But of course, no, I think importante pa rin na ipinapaalam ipinapaalam natin sa mga partners natin. But of course, big decisions or the major decisions, as mentioned, no, like acquiring properties and investments, these are important decisions, matters that has to be consulted with your spouse. Yeah. So thank you so much for that insight, Sir Shane. So the next question is for Miss Christine, Ma'am Chris. So this is your question. In your family, how did you lead them during the pandemic?
Oh, sorry, Miss Pao, my microphone was not turned on. How do I lead my family this pandemic? I'm normally the one scheduling everything. I'm on lead because I have to be the first one to get up, initiate cleaning, initiate cooking, and once everything is done for the day, ring the bell. That should call everyone to rest. Of course, in the evening, I do all the talking here. Mothers lead like that. If they don't listen, they are bombarded with more talks. Actually, that's the truth about mothers. You know that. Imagine submitting cell phones is also our rule here. Because kids are well nonstop when it comes to gadgets. So turning off of Wi-Fi's at a particular time is also a must here. It's a mother's rule most of the time. And that's what a mother does against all odds. And of course, that calls for a lot of explaining to them all the time, just so that they won't miss the point. And, I have a 10-year-old boy who always complains and bargains, and a 20-year-old daughter who questions my rules. You know that. I simply say, if it's a question of righteousness, whoever is right must be followed. But if it's a question of preference, whoever is the parent or authority must be followed with no questions asked. Although hardly kids, hardly can kids prove themselves. No, right. Their demands are normally based on their whims most of the time. Although as parents, sometimes, there are times that you just have to tolerate it a little. No? Just have to tolerate it a little too. So that's just how it is. Give and take most of the time, but you really have to always make it the point that you're the parent, and yours is always the last say. That's how we lead.
All right. That's interesting, Ma'am Chris. I can see right now that you seem to be a perfectionist mom
I
because
am.
you have schedules. But I think that's also good kasi the organization then, no, I think your kids can adapt to that. And importante rin na very organized tayo. Again, in this time of pandemic, it's very important that we know what to do, no? Lalo na we're stuck at home. So, yung schedule, daily schedules and routines, it helps,
Yeah.
right? So, I just have a question, Ma'am Chris, since
Yeah.
you were talking about the authority, no, and setting up rules. So,
Uh-huh.
my follow-up question on that is, do you still ask for your husband about those rules? No, I mean, kung may mga rules kayong sineset as a mom, do you ask your husband about it, or do you have a different set of rules at home?
Ask my husband about it. And my husband just gets surprised that that's already the rule. Well, once it's already, once it's already said, that's already the rule. Well, sometimes your husbands have always a way of, giving it to the mother. So he understands. And as long as, of course, that the rule makes sense. So, well, of course, most of us, we are teachers. That's why, well, hopefully, probably they trust us better on that. We are very fond of doing instructions all the time. So the same goes with the house all the time. Because of course we know that kids are supposed to be led all the time because they are the ones who are mostly distracted and disoriented about things. That is why I think the challenge is really very high for us parents. That's it.
All right. So thank you for that enlightenment. So it's
Thank
interesting
you,
na
Miss
parang
Bella.
who runs the world? Who runs the world, di ba? It's girls. Okay, so thank
Sorry.
you for that. Thank you again, Sir Shane. So for your third question, brother, what are the common characteristics of mothers or women which can be helpful in fighting COVID-19?
Like in the financial crisis before. I think you know this during the financial crisis. There was a case study in Iceland when the banking system collapsed. That was the first major shift in the world, and people were doing some case study, and they found out that in Iceland, all the banks collapsed except for two banks. And these two banks in Iceland that did not collapse were the banks where women were in charge. And
Wow.
yes, and when the study was conducted, one thing came out in the study that women do not engage in things they do not understand. Unlike men, because of our hyper masculinity, if you look now, if you look, gaya lang for example ngayon, when you look at how men handle the crisis, the COVID-19 crisis, like example Donald Trump, or you look at Boris Johnson of the UK, you will see that because of their machismo, their hyper masculinity, they would say that walang problema yan, lilipas din yan, mawawala din yung problema. Di ba? Yun yung kanyang messaging nila nung first part ng crisis eh. And we realized that especially yung first nating crisis natin, yung first financial crisis natin, no? Kasi 'di ba ang nag-trigger noon yung mga mga banks ang nag-trigger noon yung first financial crisis at yung mga trading, yung mga stocks. Doon nagsimula yun because yung sense of hyper masculinity, yung pagiging pagpapakalala natin, akala natin yung mabilisan, yung instinct natin to be able to do decisions na sometimes to prove that we are men. Na ganun klaseng instinct natin. No? Huwag ka matakot dyan, pakalalaki tayo, mga ganun mga bagay. But if you look at women are more meticulous, women are more general, they look at the details of the situation, and they don't make rush judgment. Sabi nga nung study nga, women daw do not do things they do not understand. Ganun sila ka meticulous. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, yung mga banking financial institutions na babae na nagpatakbo, hindi bumagsak ng financial crisis because what the study showed them is that they did not engage in all of these high-risk transactions na men are sometimes, pag nasa trading floor ka, maraming high-risk transactions yan. Pero yung testosterone mo, di ba? Sabi nga nila, the testosterone levels daw, create that kind of hyper masculinity na we make sometimes, rush judgments. But not women. Women are very meticulous in all those details. So, yun ang sinasabi nila na in certain crises daw, women daw are, because of their meticulousness and they're looking at these things without, they have to understand the whole situation before they act. This daw are a psyche that is needed in the management of certain crises. And we need that kind of decision making process now in our fight against COVID-19. We need this women's psyche to be able to balance things out. I'm not saying that men are not good crisis managers. Men are also good crisis managers, but you need a balance between all of these perspectives so to create a holism. It's not a competition of gender. Remember, gender is not a matter of competition. It's a matter of complementation. It's a matter of how genders try to talk to each other based on their worldview and to be able to create a sense of holism, to create a holistic perspective of how we appreciate things. That is gender empowerment. It's not saying that one is better than the other. Gender empowerment is trying to see the strength of one and to be able to complement each other, to create that holistic picture, to be able for us to appreciate decision-making processes. That's the reason why, that's the trust now. The trust now is a holistic picture where we empower women by giving them a voice in the decision-making policies and decision-making processes so that we see the whole picture and to be able to learn from those experiences and to create that holism for our better treatment of COVID-19.
Thank you for your answer. So actually, I do relate in that. Since you're pointing out about the capacity of women in handling finances, because I do believe that women are really good in saving money, in handling finances, in budgeting, and I would also like to thank you for saying that we are good crisis managers. Although I do believe that we are partners. No, we are partners with the husband, and it's very much important that we take into consideration each other's opinions about certain things at home. So we complement one another indeed. So thank you so much for that. So the next question is for Sir Shane. Hi, Sir Shane again. So, in your own experience, what could be the significant role of every mother or women during the pandemic?
Speaking, even before pandemic, the real issue is that mothering is not really visible. Nobody sees this as a work, and it's just something mothers are expected to do. We see the pressures rise higher, no? With added works by the mother, and so stress and anxiety. There are more pressures right now with the mothers, especially that we are in the pandemic. We are expecting mothers to be educators. We receive and hear messages on how to stimulate your children at home and not to let them fall behind academically. And to use this new time to do something new, like, for example, uh, playing instrument or arts or painting. So there are things that we want to do to compensate the time that our children spending in school. Now the standards are growing up, and they should have to be completely relaxed. Supposedly, no, mothers are supposed to be relaxing nowadays instead of doing a lot of things. Most of all, we have to remember that mothers are also frontliners. Okay? They are frontliner workers too. People are forgetting what mothers are facing right now and accomplishing, particularly at home under certain circumstances. And I think a lot of women are in crisis mode right now. Why? Because of so much work to be done, to include other circumstances such as income. Some might be losing their employment, financial or housing instability, single parenting, and those mothers which are in a or abusive situations. No, the stress is amplified. You know, I haven't heard any single person saying how they can imagine what mothers are going through right now. So how can we provide help for mothers? Maybe we could create a safe space for them so that they could be able to talk what they are experiencing, whether it's on the phone or in the video chat or social media. So we should have to open to hear mother stories, not just only asking them, but of course we have to provide them with a venue to open up themselves. No? And lastly, I guess we need to honor mother works, and mothers are deserving of a red, uh, big red heart for the heroic work they are doing right now, no? Particularly in this pandemic. That's all, Miss Pao.
Okay, thank you so much for that wonderful answer, Sir Shane. Because of your answer, I have realized a lot of things about my mom and about all the mothers out there. And somehow, even I'm not yet a mother, I can relate to what you're talking about. The pressure, not just of being a mother, but being a woman as per se. Now, being a woman per se is it's already mataas na yung pressure niya. Why? Because we're expected of a lot of things. And you know, the gender stereotypes that we have, that when you're a woman, you should be the one nurturing, you should be the one caring, you should be the one to take care of the family, and so on and so forth. And I would agree with what you're saying, that mothers are also frontliners because they are the ones na talagang namamalengke. So as you can see, no, they are risking their lives just to make foods for us. And I also realized that, you know, being a mom is already a job. And however, moms like Ma'am Chris, no, full-time pa siyang nagtatrabaho. And I can't imagine the difficulties of being a mom na parang there's so much responsibility. And I also like your suggestions, Sir Shane, about hearing more stories about moms, no, yung kanilang mga pinagdadaanan, because I also believe that mothers out there, they have less outlets when it comes to, sharing their stories. Parang it's very difficult for them to find time to talk about what they're going through. And kahit na may mga kumare sila, mga kumare or mga friends na napagkukwentuhan, I believe that it's not enough for them to be able to really talk about their struggles. And also I like the suggestion about us honoring mother works, because it's really not a joke. I have witnessed a lot of mothers who are very much hardworking. No, hindi lang sa kanilang mga full-time na mga trabaho, aside from their full-time jobs, some of them are even doing some sidelines, no, to be able to help their husbands. And of course, aside from that, apart from those works, they are also doing a lot sa bahay inside of their home, and especially if there are a lot of kids. So thank you so much for that insight, Sir Shane. So the next question is for Miss Chris. Hi, Ma'am Chris. So this is your question. In your own experience, what were your advantages as a woman and as a mother during this pandemic?
Have I turned on? My microphone has been turned on. Okay. Yes, Miss Pau. The advantages of me being a woman and a mother in this pandemic. Well, first of all, women are most expected to run the house. So it's an opportunity for me to create all scenarios I want for everyone all the time. That is the first advantage. So, that this pandemic is a time to completely monitor the kids. My 10-year-old boy, I was surprised, grew taller and is healthier now. My daughter is being given extra advices now on a lot of things because I'm always here. This pandemic, the way I look at it, is both grace and trial for all of us. I mean, we know that we are growing completely because of this. As a mother, it's an opportunity for me to do a lot of things. Of course, no, to really be with my kids and hands on in all of our household chores and do a lot of things that's been left, or probably things that we cannot do when, of course, we are supposed to be physically present in our work. Okay, here, this is just virtual, learning all the time. That is why multitasking is always, an opportunity for us. Also, since, of course, I am the woman, I'm not the one who is supposed to go out of the house all the time. It's normally the job of the man. So at least the risk is lower on my part. I think that's just some of the practical, things I see on my part as the advantage. Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Pao.
Okay, so thanks for your answer, Ma'am Chris. So I can see that you can see this pandemic as an opportunity as well, which I believe it's also true naman, because of course as a full-time faculty, it's also difficult for us now to be able to monitor your kids. And right now, no, parang it's the other way around. We're at
Yeah.
home and you're able to see
Mm.
the progress of your kids,
Yeah.
which is very important kasi
We're so grateful.
parents,
Yeah.
some parents really cannot do that during the normal situation, no, without the COVID
Yeah.
pandemic. Okay, so thank you for that, Ma'am Chris.
Thank
So the
you.
next question is for Sir Shane. So, Sir Shane, do you have any suggestions for all the fathers watching us right now on how we can fight COVID-19 together with Juana?
As a father, and my suggestion also to other fathers, to all the fathers, to me, it's good that we must have, or we must ensure that whenever or wherever our family goes in, public places, we have to make sure that the places we are visiting has a good, number one, air circulation. So if possible, we should not have to stay in an environment or places where it's being enclosed. Second, we have always to maintain social distancing. Wearing face mask and face shield is very important also. And then frequent washing of hands. And last, I guess, be vaccinated if available. I am not a in the medical profession, but I think these are important things to observe. If we are religiously observing these matters, I believe that together we could defeat COVID-19. COVID-19, sorry. Thank you, Ms. Pao.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Sir Shane. So as you can see, he's reminding us of the things that we should do to keep ourselves safe. Now, of course, ayaw naman nating mahawaan yung ating mga kapamilya, our loved ones, and it's very important for us to take care of ourselves, okay, to be able to maintain a healthy lifestyle amidst the pandemic. So, Sir Shane, just a follow-up question. So what you talked about a while ago was, you know, about the things that we should do to be able to prevent catching COVID-19. But how about, of course, what could be your advice to the fathers out there who's with their loved ones or their partners, their wives? Now, how can they help their wives in these difficult times?
Well, for me, number one, as a father, we need to take care of ourselves also. But uh, equally important to ourselves are our family. Families are very important. That's why when you try to take care of your family, you have also to take care of yourself, because once you are a victim of this COVID-19, everybody inside the house will also be victims. So it's very, very important that we must have to be particular with the things that we should have to do outside and inside our home.
Okay.
Yes, Susan.
So thank you so much, Sir Shane. So the last question for Mom Chris is here. Hi, Mom Chris. So do you have any suggestions for all the mothers and women watching us right now on how we can fight COVID-19?
I'm so slow to turn on the microphone. How do we fight COVID-19? Of course, it's really very challenging for us mothers, no? To what do you call this? To help, of course, in this fight. It's been a year. COVID-19 fight is not yet over, as we all know. How do we really fight it? I really don't know. All we can do is, well, number one, cooperate with government. Of course, as long as their measures are perfectly okay. Vaccination is being offered now, but it is our duty to safeguard the house by way of observing, listening, and researching if this will really work or not. That's the first one. So we always listen to IITF and all of this. No, usually, we talk. I always ask friends about that. I mean, I'm not just what do you call this? Taking one opinion. I always wanted to, to look into what everyone is always saying, of course, and then there's where I decide. How else do we fight? Of course, number two, go out less. I mean, this is not time for bonding and socialization, especially for no urgent reason. I really feel sorry that I had to turn down when my daughter asked permission to see her friends for a get together. Just I think a week ago. But since it was not supported, by this very good reason, urgent reason, I did not find any sense why they had to come, and bargaining up to the point of asking me that how about if they just the friends would just be coming here to the house, and all seven of them. So I really had to turn down, and of course I know how she felt about that. But of course I also had to do a lot of explaining, and I tell her that there will always be time, there will always be time, and that now is not the time. Go out less, or even if even if people would have to come to your house. So of course, we don't really have to do that now. Number three, I think we have to be OC conscious about hygiene. OC conscious. So you see, in the house, of course, there is an alcohol, in front of the door. Of course, there's also liquid soap there. So as much as possible, whenever you go out, you have to, wash your hands, or maybe for visitors, they can just use the alcohol. There's always this mask all the time, bathing, washing, alcohol, vitamins all the time. I mean, all health protocols. We should really observe that even after vaccination. I think this is really to go on for like some 4 years. Everyone will really be very paranoid about what do you call this, about what happened here in this 2020 situation. I mean, we'll probably carry that even after this. When all of this is over, I think it's still going to make people so paranoid about hygiene all the time. So I think that is also what COVID-19 taught us, especially as Filipinos. You see naman, Filipino values, no, they were just like you see how what do you call this, how dogs are pooping everywhere, and even people, that, no. I think it's a challenge for us Filipinos to really straighten up our lifestyle. I think all I can say is that we really have to pray hard. How to fight it? I don't know how we can really fight it. When you have to pray, pray, and pray hard that this long haul may finally be over. You know, that's all I think we can offer to do. Thank you, Miss Pao.
Okay. Just to follow up on that, Chris, it's interesting for me to know if there are any tips or advice that you can give to um, your fellow moms out there who's bored at home and those who don't find time to pamper themselves, because of a lot of things that they're doing, and,
Yeah.
parang nandun na lang sila nakafocus sa mga gawaing bahay and, helping their kids to do their modules. So, ano kayang pwede nating maipayo sa kanila?
Really? I am not the type of mom who gets bored. Why? Because I don't have a maid, you see. I don't have a maid, and I really have to do everything myself. Of course, with the help of the whole family, but it's always the mother who's, doing the lead all the time. So, what else can I advise you? But I think it's the same. Number one, well, that's general. To kill boredom, it's always diversification. I mean, keeping yourself busy won't really make you think of things, won't really. I mean, there's no room for idleness. You know that idleness is a devil's ground. That is what they always say. And, with me, there's nothing like that, because I'm really so busy, and I'm really so, hands on, about everything. I have, I always see to it that as much as possible, I maximize my time. I make use of my time, to the maximum. Number two, of course, I think this is always what we've been telling the kids, and during our lessons in our time management program, and I gave them, of course, the acronym MOPSU. You say MOPSU is just the same that I would like to share to all mothers, and just everyone is bored. Number one, M, maximize your time. Okay, as much as possible, do everything that you can do in every given moment. Number two, organization. Of course, organization won't cause delay, and that is why, if you are that organized person, you easily know where things are, where things are, where it's actually placed, and that is why, Organization is always very important. Putting things together and prioritizing. Of course, even Kobe is always telling us first things first. So we won't be lost about the goal because what should really be the first things to be done all the time. What are the first things to be done all the time? MOPSU, PS, specialization. I think this is the time to sharpen the saw. You know that, no? We have all this moment to, what do you call this, develop ourselves. Are you saying pampering? I mean, mothers? Yeah, of course, there's more time to do manicure, at home, doing it yourself, to do a lot of this, beautification project for your skin, for your hair. I think you have all the time in the world to do this. Specialize, of course, not just in all of these, things, about your vanity, but also how else you can harness yourself, your all potential. Look for it. No, specialize in a lot of things. This is a time because you have all the time. And I said, did I say you? You mopsu? Yeah, you is urgency. Of course, there's always a need for us to act on everything, right away, as much as possible. So what else? Aside from, of course, what I already mentioned about how to fight COVID-19. That's all I can say. Especially, of course, pray all the time. And be very, very praying as much as possible. I think only those. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Ma'am Chris. May natutunan na naman ako, the MOPSU. Okay, so I hope that our dear students can also apply this to themselves, no?
Yeah.
MOPSU, I think maximizing your time, organization, prioritizing, specialization, and urgency can be applied to your Canvas modules, right? So, makakagaling
COVID-19.
talaga kayo dito. Hindi lang siya sa COVID-19, no, but it can also be applied in doing your modules. Okay? So, for the very last question, for you, Brother Clifford, do you have any suggestions for all our viewers on how they can be one with Juana against COVID-19?
First of all, COVID-19 is not something that will bring us back to the way things were. Definitely, things will never come back to the things that was. Um, and the only way for us to move forward is to move forward in the spirit of embracing change. Sabi nga nila, Heraclitus says, the only thing permanent in this world is change, and we have to embrace that change. And part of embracing that change is to be able to re-examine the current worldview. To be able to move forward is to be able to see what each one of us can contribute towards moving forward. And part of that is also appreciating the role of gender, the role of women in society, so that we form a certain degree of complementation. Uh, that as we move forward, we begin to learn that each one has an important role to share in building up against society that has been heavily hit by this crisis. And the only way to do that is to do it together. And doing it together means celebrating the diversity of each other and to be able to use that diversity and complement each other. Um, it's that analogy that we work side by side with one another. The complementation of roles in society is very important because we can contribute something to moving forward. So wag nating kakalimutan na kailangan natin sa isa't isa, especially yung kababaihan. And I repeat, not just token. Because yun ang nagiging, minsan nagiging sakit natin. When you say, let's involve women, ginagawa na sila parang token, parang representation lang na magmasabi lang na may babae. Parang, itong committee natin, pumunta yung babae, masabi lang may babae. No. Empowering them means giving them a real voice, and meaning giving them that power to effect change within that group. That is the role of being more gender sensitive in certain issues. So that when women are empowered, meaning that they can make essential change in policy and processes and procedures.
All right. So what you just said, brother, is very impactful when I heard it. So move forward, embracing change. So I do realize right now that COVID-19 has brought so much change in our lives, and maybe it's kind of difficult to really go back to the way things before because a lot has changed. And with your answer, brother, I also realized that we should contribute regardless of our genders. And we should be able to recognize each other's strengths and weaknesses while appreciating the role of our genders. We can be a man, a woman, or part of the LGBT community and still do something productive, something that is very good to the betterment of our society, of our country. And thank you so much, brother, for pointing out that we should also celebrate diversity. We are different individuals, but we should move forward and work together for change. So then, thank you so much to our guest speakers for the valuable insights you've given us. The experiences you've shared were truly relevant considering the many issues concerning not just COVID-19, but also gender stereotypes against women. To our dear students, I hope that you'll continue to be one with the Juanas out there. Let's continue to fight for our rights, for what is right, because after all, we are capable Filipinos regardless of our gender. So we will now give the spotlight to my colleague, Sir Epi Yalaw, for the question and answer portion. Sir Epi,